This recipe kept me up at night. No, I'm serious. This recipe kind of kept me up at night. I was trying to sleep the other night and almost asleep, and then my brain did that thing where it decided it was going to go at full force. And so we said we have to make a pumpkin cream pasta. And so that's what we're doing today. I worked out this recipe, and it's kind of sort of going to end up just being like a pumpkin mac and cheese, but creamier, and you know, you'll see. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a mornay, which is the derivative of a bechamel, which is one of the French mother sauces. It's basically a cheesy bechamel. We're going to spruce it up with some fall flavors, some sage and some clove and stuff like that. And then we're going to throw some pumpkin into that mornay and toss our pasta in it. The grocery store was out of, you know, just like sugar pumpkins, baking pumpkins, but they had these tiny guys, which I think is going to actually do better, just because we're not using a whole lot. And this is, I forget what this was called. It was called like an orange sparkler, I think, something like that. So we're just gonna cut it open. We're gonna scrape it out. Now, this thing actually has like enough give to it that I'm pretty sure I could just rip it open. But I went to Renfest last week, and I just had this overwhelming compulsion to buy a sword. Now, the sword, it's not super sharp, and I specifically bought one that had enough of an edge that I could at least like try to learn how to sharpen it. So well, we kind of got it. You know, that would have worked if you know, I had good aim. The problem is this pumpkin is gross. That was a wildly fruitless endeavor. You know, because pumpkin's a fruit, and we're fruitless. Yeah, I went to 2 different grocery stores, and they didn't have any more pumpkins. So we got this stuff right here, which I guess is cool because it is going to save me all the time that I just wasted, you know, looking for pumpkins. So we're just gonna hop over to the stove and we're gonna make a mornay. All right, so the first thing we have to do in order to make a bechamel, or I guess to say in order to make a mornay, is to make a bechamel. The first thing to make a bechamel is to make a roux. So for a roux, it's basically just butter or any sort of fat and flour cooked together until it makes kind of a sludgy little bit, and that's about it. So we're going to do a tablespoon of butter, and we'll let that melt down. Oh, and I've got the stove going about medium heat. And you don't want to go much higher than medium because then the butter's going to start to, you know, separate and brown and burn a little bit. And you want that flour in there before heat starts really coming in. Alright, I turned up the heat just a little bit. Butter's totally melted, and we're just going to add our flour. So there are different stages of roux. You know, one is when it's pretty light. It's called a blonde roux. And as you let it brown, you know, you don't want to let it burn. But as you let it brown, the flavor of the roux deepens and gets almost kind of nutty. Yeah, you can see it's slowly starting to darken. And go just a little bit further. That's about what we want right there. See how it's starting to get kind of golden? I'll take a cup of milk and add it. And we'll just give it a good whisk to make sure it gets all nice and incorporated. Now, while this is happening, I'm going to season it a little bit with some, you know, nice flavors here. Just a single sage leaf, since we don't have a whole lot. If you're working with any leafy herbs, it's good to, like, you know, do this. It helps open up the flavor, release the oils in it. Just going to throw that in there.
Gonna grate a little bit of nutmeg. Just a few whole cloves. And of course, a good pinch or so of salt. And black pepper. Give that a whisk. And we're gonna give that a minute to come up to a simmer and let all those flavors start cooking into each other. Since we have milk in here, I'm gonna keep this moving as it starts to come up just because I don't want to scorch it. So you're gonna end up with a burnt sauce and nobody wants that. So we're gonna start adding the cheese. And if it stays too hot while we're adding the cheese, it's gonna cause the sauce to break and it's gonna get this really shitty, grainy texture, and we don't want that. So, in this cup, I have about 1 ounce each of fresh grated Parmesan and fresh grated Gruyere. Gruyere is kind of the traditional cheese used for mornay sauce, but it's also, fairly common to use Parmesan. We're using both today, and honestly, it's just cheese. Mornay is just a bechamel with cheese. So, take little handfuls at a time. Try to temper this sauce down. Just gonna drop a little bit at a time and keep on whisking. Here, let's see how we do. Oh, damn it, that's really good. Holy crap. I could just drink this sauce as it is. So, take some of our pumpkin puree, and I don't know. Really don't even know how much to add yet. We're kind of just gonna, I don't know, what's that, like a tablespoon and a half, 2 tablespoons? Throw that in there. Pumpkin by itself isn't really quite as sweet as I wanted it to be. So this needs just like a touch of sweetness to it. I've got an idea. I'm gonna add just a splash of maple syrup. Oh my god. Yeah, that was, yeah. All right, so splash of maple syrup with all that, and holy shit, this is really good. This is really good. We're gonna go back over to the table. We're gonna blend this down and strain it out. So we're gonna use the immersion blender, stick blender, whatever you wanna call it. So, now, corn didn't like that. Blending it not only, smoothed it out and everything, but it also broke up that sage leaf and those, cloves. So that spice should really like nicely disperse. Let's try. It made a huge difference. Okay, so now we have a bowl, a sieve or a strainer, whatever you want to call it, and a rubber spatula. Just gonna dump this in. I'm gonna use that rubber spat to get as much of this sauce out as possible. Just gonna move this through the sieve. We're gonna go back over to the stove. I'm gonna make some pasta. I'm gonna show you guys how to toast some pumpkin seeds. The basic principle with toasting pumpkin seeds, or any seeds or nuts, or anything like that, is you don't want them to be too stagnant, too long. Kind of keep them moving around a little bit. And, give them a little flip here and there. And you'll see they're starting to brown a little bit, and that's good because a couple things are happening. A, you're doing the whole Maillard reaction thing, and that's making it, nice and crispy, giving it a little bit better of a texture and adding some flavor. Additionally, the oils in the pumpkin seeds are releasing, so it's another thing that's making them taste better. So we're getting better texture and better taste by toasting this. We're gonna add our mornay. Definitely could have stood to let that pan cool a little bit more, but that's okay. We've got up the heat, we got it moving around. I'm just gonna throw our pasta in here. And give it a little toss. And yeah, that's about it. We're gonna go ahead and plate this up and I can finally have dinner. First off, I did put some sage in there, but I think some sage as a garnish would be really nice. So for just a single plate, we really only need probably 1 leaf. I'm gonna go ahead and roll this up and cut it. I, of course, am using, as I've mentioned, one of my favorite knives, my Con Chef's knife. Don't forget, you can use code LAUNCHPAD at Con Knives at ConKitchen.com to get $5 off of any order. And a portion of those proceeds will go to Feeding America. So you'll get yourself a good knife and you'll feed some hungry people. It's win-win, guys. Got our pasta. Put it on our plate. A little bit more. It's parm. It's good. It's real parm. It's real good. Stop buying that Kraft sawdust stuff, guys. Come on. Take our pumpkin seeds. I'm gonna sprinkle them over the top here. I'm so hungry. Guys, I'm pretty proud of myself on this one. That's it. That's pumpkin mornay pasta. It's really good. It's really good. It's nice fall flavors. A little sweet, a little savory. It's all the right notes. Anyway, those buttons, you know the drill. Patreon homies, scroll. I don't know. Follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. Join my Discord. Hang out with me. You know the drill, guys. Patreon. I just said Patreon. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Yeah. Love y'all. See you soon.